Yahweh Bashem, Al Bashem, Lukakwada Shalom, to the 144,000 and rest of the elect out there, Shalom to all. I'm going to title this video, I went to the chat and ask the question, what does Deuteronomy 22:28 mean? So what led me to go to that chapter and verse is a little debate that they had maybe a couple of days ago, last week sometime. And this is a part, a cut, whatever you want to call it, a part of a longer debate. This is Andrew, and this is Captain Tazariak, and this is Cooley Novagazi. I don't know if I don't want to play the whole thing, but when I saw the video, the whole video, the live, when they actually had the debate, and I believe you can catch it on Captain Tazariak's page, it led me to do a video on grape doctrine again. I think he was debating it with somebody else. Right. This was this past Saturday. So they even spoke about it when Andrew, this individual right here, was on his show. It says, wow, Andrew Wilson breaks Hebrew Israelite argument and points out he's a feminist. I believe he's talking about him, whatever. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Then I'm going to go into the chat, and I put in Deuteronomy 22:28, and I put in grape.
Polygamy is something that is always kind of existed, but is low key. But monogamy in America has existed forever. So the downfall of the West is not the downfall of the West is monogamy, prostitution, and all the shit that y'all do. Y'all, when you say
society's done when you can't control your woman, and the so-called white man, he can't control his woman. His woman desires Jake. That's one of the signs that your kingdom is going, when your woman, the ones that bear your children, have a thing for Jake, for the enemy. So y'all got to get used to it, man. These Edomites are going for Jake, men. Like I said, that's one major step in the downfall of any society.
Polygamy won't save the West. Show me how. This is a hypothetical.
I will show you how.
This is not a question.
Yeah.
Monogamy never did anything because America didn't rule the West by monogamy.
Yes, it did.
America ruled the West by force because America still rules the West. Last I checked, America is still the #1 superpower unless you ask Israel.
The West is dying. The West is dying. The West can't eat.
I didn't interrupt you the whole.
He's right. The West is dying. And it's a spiritual reason why ultimately it's going to be set on fire. The West, the Babylon the Great.
Time you can talk.
Okay. Well, you said that. Okay, right. But I get a response after this. Then I get a response after this.
Yeah, you get a response. Go ahead, Cap. It's yours. Go ahead.
There goes a goddamn
Welcome
commercial.
to Wild Kingdom.
I remember this
The
as a
largest
kid.
land in the world
It's on
is
Channel 2,
the
if I'm
African
not
elephant.
mistaken.
I always got to cuss before I get my moderator Cooley to step in. So again, America is still a #1 power, even though morally they're f***ed up. So you can't blame that on polygamy, because when monogamy existed, they was raping their wives. That's why it was unlawful. Raping their wives. That's why it only became in law in 1993. That's why when you go to post or pre-industrialism, you know why they was having more kids? Because they was raping the wives. raping the wives, having sex with them, producing the kids, got the woman in the house, and then they let that white broad out. And that white broad...
Yeah, you had men that had children outside of their marriage. You had women that didn't love the husband, and the husband would just take it. The woman could not call the police and say, he raped me, yeah, but you're legally married. You have a contract. Just like he gets half of your shit, he can get what you got in between your legs. So a lot of times you had women that didn't want, maybe wanted one child, and the man wanted to have more than one child, or whatever the case may be. So, you know, polygamy is a necessary evil. It's really not an evil, but that's what they would call it, a necessary evil. It's necessary. Because if the 90% of the women in America became feminists, we're not giving a man nothing, men will actually take it. Like I said in the previous video, Esau goes into the psychology of men and women's minds, and how they naturally, you know, the law of the jungle, so to speak. There's a reason why you do not have, use this word co-ed. Co-ed means co-education. Co-incarceration. They'll save more money. Make a big place, put the women and the men in the same facility. You know, they separated the women and the men. And what happens if it's all women? A lot of lesbianism goes on in the woman's prison system, and Esau sets it up that way. He knows that's happening. And if it's all men, men will attack other men and force sex on them. So can you imagine if the men what is the word I use? I made up a new word. Co-incarcerated. Co-educated, co-ed, co-incarcerated. Men wouldn't be raping other men. They'll be raping women left and right. They'll be flapping, flip them up. Smack them up, flip them, rub them down. That'll be going on all over the goddamn place. So Esau knows what the fuck he's doing. He wants Israelite men to be moles, and he wants Israelite women to be happy, to be moles as well. Right? This is a backwards, wicked society. Oh, and I'm going to say this as a side note. There's a major scandal that's going to come out very soon. Media knows about it. It's dealing with Trump. It's dealing with Trump. Major scandal, which he's going to deny. And I'm not going to say nothing else. If y'all want to put it in the comment what you think I'm thinking, I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking, man. You know? But there's going to be a major scandal involving Trump. This is not a prophecy. This is my observation, because they're keeping it under wraps. See, I know the body language. I can see people. I can look at people. You know? Anyway. So if 90% of the women said, I'm feminist, I'm not going to deal with the man, I don't want to have babies no more, you better move out the country, because men are going to take it. And then you're going to have to pass a law in the United States that you can take women and take her by force. And this happened in Israel. Now, if you do that in Israel, ancient Israel, you do that to a man's daughter, that's a disrespect to the father. You're not supposed to be disrespecting the father by doing that. But if you do it, you got to pay for it. You can't divorce her. Now, I don't know what Captain Desariak's take on that, or Genesis' take on that. I'm not even going to ask Alazar. I don't even think he believes I don't know. He's got to know he's an Israelite, but he's going in a whole different direction. But I remember when, Gorilla Hebrew didn't want to see it. Genesis, I don't know if Hakar and Assad sees it. They should make a video on it. They don't want to make no video on it because they'll get cut. So anyway, let me let it play. Then I'm going to go into the chat.
Said I ain't never coming. I ain't never coming back. I ain't have.
Oh, and by the way, IUIC that got emotional and came against us with the whole grape thing. IUIC teaches grape as well. If you marry a woman in the IUIC, she got a headache, you can take it. So IUIC teaches grape too. IUIC teaches grape too. But in case of emergency, Judges 19, I believe it's 19 and 20 chapters. And if you're married, you've been with this chick for 5 years, she got a headache. It's too bad. You're my wife. I'm gonna force myself on you. So that's hypocrisy, man.
Having no more of your kids, I ain't doing none of that.
And that's feminine. That's feminism. Feminism. And what do we find? What do we learn about feminism? That these women are bugged out in the fucking mind. This is why you got Jake men. They'll get with Edomite women. They get with Moabite women. And like I said, ISUPK, you can't deal with a woman. Let me bump into a woman of another nation that look good to my taste. I'm dealing with her. I ain't gonna marry her, but I'm taking her home and I'm dealing with her. I'm gonna deal with her, man. Whether she's an Edomite, a Moabite, an Ammonite, a Cushite, an Ishmaelite, I'm dealing with them, and I'm gonna let them know. If they want to get married, I said, no, we ain't getting married. I said, you're not of my nation. I only marry Israelite women, and I don't deal with Israelite women unless they are the Northern Kingdom. I ain't dealing with the Southern Kingdom. Bear me for a minute. I'm gonna use another computer soon. I'm just setting it up.
So we can't act like monogamy or polygamy makes the West good or bad, because the West is still great.
Yes.
That's my question.
No. I get a response. I get a response.
The West, which he's talking about, Babylon the Great, America is great because of their military might and their economy. This is world reserve currency. Anytime two nations outside of America make a deal on buying something, especially gas, that's why they call it the petrodollar. They have to convert their money into Federal Reserve notes, buy with the Federal Reserve notes. So economically, they're the powerhouse, and militarily, they up there. They're world power. But all that's getting ready to stop.
He gets a response.
I
That's
get a
what we
response.
agreed to.
That's
he
not
gets a response.
Yeah, you just agreed.
Just
I get a
agreed to that.
response. I get
Go
a
ahead,
response.
Andrew.
I get a
Cap.
response.
No.
So here's a response.
No.
It's really simple, right? Yeah, I get and we'll get to your question after my response.
Real quick, both of y'all. Real quick. I'm just mute both of y'all real quick. Listen, Cap, we literally just walked it through, like one A to Z. A to Z walked it through. You gave your little rebuttal, and now Andrew gets a response. This is why Andrew yielded. You get what I'm saying? So just let him get his response, and then you can ask a question. I don't think Andrew Wilson is asking a question. He's just going to respond to all the things that you said. So go ahead.
Wait. Hold. Before Andrew goes, this back and forth while I've been trying to ask this one question has gone on 4 times now.
That's because you won't stop responding.
Every time he responds, and then I respond, and I say I want to ask a question afterwards, he says he got to respond. Can I ask the? Wait, listen.
No, that's not what happened. You're lying about the course of events.
Real
I
quick,
said
I
I'll
gotcha.
respond. I said I'll respond, and
I got you real quick, Andrew. Listen, this is real simple, Cap. Once Andrew responds, instead of you responding to Andrew, ask your question. Just ask the question, and you'll be good. So is Andrew time to respond? After Andrew is finished, ask your question, Cap.
I feel so blessed that we're still one big happy family.
Of hoes.
Get out of here and go. No one wants you here. Go. Don't be rude. Are you kidding me? Guys, stop it.
These clowns are famous for being famous.
So, before he goes, if the criteria is I can't respond to what he says, I just have to ask my question, that has to be the same across the board. He can't respond to nothing I say. He got to ask his question. Go ahead, then.
yeah, I don't have a question. So yeah, this is everything he just said was a lie. When he's talking about coverture laws, with the by the way, major feminist talking point, major black eye on the Hebrew Israelites on this one. Okay, you did go to jail for battering and abusing your wife. In fact, you weren't even allowed to step out. You weren't allowed to leave your wife. You weren't even allowed to do that. Because the state would enforce. The state would come in and be like, nah, man.
Your battery is when you hit her, beat her up, knock a tooth out. Has nothing to do prior to, actually going back to the 70s, but actually became law in 93. I looked it up. Captain Zariak first said it. I looked it up. I did the fact check, which Israelites do, unlike Christians. They just go with their emotions. And when you go back prior to 70, 60s, 50s, 40s, you got legally married with a woman. She had a headache. I don't feel like doing it tonight. Boom. Okay. Here's an aspirin, bitch. I'm gonna flip you over, and I'm gonna do what I got to do. You don't got to participate. I'll do all the work.
Man, you look up coverture laws. Any of you watching this, you can look them up for yourself, right? Men had an obligation. Women couldn't even go into debt. And by the way,
Well, women couldn't vote, so they had no power. That's what that whole feminism was all. I'm not an expert on that, but they couldn't vote.
a few short years ago, we're talking only 60, 70 years ago. You're looking at, as far as monogamy goes, most men were marrying virgin women. They were marrying virgins on their wedding night. No,
That's what real marriage is. You marry a woman that's not a virgin. She's really not your wife. I mean, you can't marry a woman that had another man. If the man's living, biblically, you are committing adultery. So all of us that deal with any woman, unless you get a damn 11-year-old, 12-year-old, you make a deal with the woman's dad, and you know that she's in. You got the what do you call it? Goddamn! Somebody help me out. I can't even think of it. The proof that she's a virgin. I can't even think of the word right now. But somebody help me out. My mind is a blank on that one. It'll come back to me. It's right in the tip of my tongue. Something of her virginity. Damn, I can't even think of it. Token of her virginity. Token of her virginity. Token of her virginity. Matter of fact, let me do this. Edging when having sex. I looked that word up as I was watching something. That has nothing to do with pagan. Tahar be edging. He be edging. Anyway, okay, we study everything, man. Benefits of having sex. That's why we fucking grumpy. Yeah, you grumpy. You guys are grumpy. Grumpy. What is it? A GMS. Grumpy men shouting. Yeah, because we supposed to have many wives, and it's all our women that we supposed to get was supposed to be all virgins, young, tenderonies. Let me see. token of her virginity, Bible. Token of her virginity. Give me a second. I want to put in the word Bible. See, if the law of adultery applied now in this system, you have a shortage of people in this country. Have a handful of people in this country. Bible. Okay, it gave me Deuteronomy 22. Go ahead, forgive me. Okay, token of her virginity. Deuteronomy 22, 13 to 21. The token of her virginity refers to the physical evidence, specifically a bloody stained cloth presented by the bride's parent to the elders as proof of her virginity on her wedding night. That we call it popping the cherry. Which I can't tell you. What does it feel like popping it? I can't tell you. I never popped a cherry. You know? It said I had the next best thing, but I never popped the cherry. Wedding night. And so they had that the token that you popped it, you busted a cherry, and you got the blood on the sheet, let's say. In the event her husband falsely accuses her of not being a virgin. Well, wait a minute. Y'all had the marriage bed, y'all had sex, and we got the token right here. This evidence was crucial for establishing the legitimacy of the marriage and protecting the woman from false accusations. Right? Now let's do this. Where am I? Well, I'm not going to read it. I just kind of read it anyway. Let's come on back over here. See, back in the day, to get the approval of you dealing with a chick young, you had to go to the parents. I remember when they had chaperones. The aunt would go to the movies with you, and she'd be sitting in the back with the arm folded watching you. And back in the day, you know, you had actual virgins getting married. You had some of them that lied, but the token of her virginity, which is not in use in America today. So this, like I said, what did I always say, y'all? The missiles can't come quick enough. This place got to be fucked up. It's got to be destroyed.
No, not kidding, right? The monogamy, as I showed you all of the various data, right, is the most stable thing you can do for the American family.
And monogamy. If you a simp, you're gonna be faithful to that one woman. A guy that's not a simp, alpha male, whatever, he gonna mess around. You know, you might settle with one woman that you're really into, but you're gonna mess around. This Dudley Do-Right niggas, they'll get one woman, be faithful, find out she's messing around. We are built. Men are built to have multiple women. That's why in the kingdom there's going to be a shortage of men. So each man will have many women. 7 women shall take hold of one man. That already happens on this side. The only thing is you have women that seven men will take home one woman. You got women jumping around, especially the Jake woman. So she's supposed to be put to death on the spot. Like I said, the Most High is going to fuck this place up. And the majority of people that he's going to get Edomites, he's going to get Jake, he's going to get the other nations.
strayed away from that, and that's what's caused tons and tons of the problems with degeneracy. In fact, this guy's worldview is so degenerate, right? He's just saying, hey, if you bang a chick, you're married to her. Great.
Well, how the fuck is that degenerate? That's why you don't talk to these motherfuckers, man. That's degenerate. If you have 5 and 6 women, that's degenerate. How the fuck is it degenerate? It's biblical.
Well, how do you enforce that? We don't.
This is why Jake is taking your woman. Actually, they running at us. I'll be doing my walk, see them pretty Edomite women walking, and I'm looking at them from a distance. It's obvious I'm looking at them in that way, and they'll smile and kind of wave at me. And Edomite man, a pastor woman, he's just walking. He ain't concerned about that. He ain't looking at the woman. Women like to be looked at that way. By the way, they saying that. So you looking at her ass? Women like like for you to look at their asses and their bodies. Normal women, not bugged out women.
We're just going to talk at him. Hey, did you know you're married? No, I'm not. The woman says, no, I'm not. Well, that's the end of that. There's no enforcement mechanism whatsoever. He doesn't want the state to do anything. He doesn't want any movement in society towards...
The state has no business involved in a marriage. When you legally get married, like IUIC, you legally get married. First of all, you get married in New York. You take your wife to New Jersey. You stay in a hotel. You have sex. If the feds want to arrest you under the the White Slavery Act and other laws, they can arrest you. That's what happened with P. Diddy. P. Diddy and had prostitutes go from one state to the other, and it made it federal. That's all it is. You got a prostitute. If he would have got prostitutes, male prostitutes, female prostitutes in New York, they stayed in New York, they had sex, well, there's no charges. What's the federal charge? That was nothing but a show trial. That was nothing but a humiliation ritual. Because they ain't talking about him no more. We don't even know he's sentenced. They ain't talking about him no more.
Anything new. How are you going to save the West when you just want the status quo? It's the same West. He wants the same West tomorrow that we have today, where everybody can do whatever they want, right? And you can, in their mind, they'll just say, hey, we're married as long as we have sex with a chick. We're married to him. You have sex with a chick. You're married to her. Those people say, no, we're not. You're out of your fucking mind. Go about their business. And that's business as usual. There's no enforcement of any of this.
How you going to enforce that? And if anybody has any enforcement, it's the father first. And once the father gives the daughter to the man, he's under the force of the husband or the slave master. You had Israelites put other Israelites into slavery, but there were laws concerning that. So you Edomites claim to read the Bible. You don't really read the Bible. You don't really understand the Bible. Sometimes you have to go into the Hebrew. Sometimes you have to go into the Greek to get a deeper understanding of a particular word. That's why they got all, full of emotions when what's this guy? Polite came down and asked us about the grape thing. And really, you know why he was asking about that? So he can get approval, because he was doing it any fucking way. He was doing it any fucking way. He was getting approval. He knew that we were the spiritual. Polite knows that he's thinking, man. He ain't never coming out. Because we believe the missiles are going to come before he comes out. And if he comes out, his name is going to be mud in the so-called black community. So you threaten the prophets. So this is what you get, nigga.
Legislative, they have no legislative plan for anything. They have no plan for anything. It's just more of the same. He's literally offering you more of the same. And when I ask him, how's that going to save the West? He doesn't know. He has no idea. He gave you nothing. He just said,
nigga, you can't save the West. We read this the other day. What is that? Job. Matter of fact, no, I'm not going to go to Job. What is that? 14:5. I was going to read it in the NLT. You have a time limit. Once your time is up, like these game shows, they ask you a question. You got 30 seconds to answer the question. answer the question. Let's say it goes to 32 seconds. You answer the question. Nope. You answered the question correctly, but you answered it beyond the 30-minute limit. So this devil has a limit. The pagan Neo-Babylonian had a limit of 70 years, and that was even cut short. Every kingdom was cut short at a particular time. And the Most High had on record, okay, they're going to rule for X amount of years, and then they're going to be cut short. And the average lifespan of an empire, look it up. Don't take my word for it. The average lifespan of an empire is 250 years. Guess what year we in U.S. the birth of U.S. or the year of the age of the U.S. 249 years. 2026, which is about 5 months from now, August, September, October, November, December. Shit, that's 5 months. That's 250 years. So you at the last year. And this place is going to go down, man. And Trump is going to help it go down. He gonna make it go down.
Monogamy somehow was the better status quo than most men marrying virgins on their wedding night just 60, 70, 80 years ago. Like, how's this even?
And men went out when they got women. It was a deal between the two families coming together. Because remember, you got a man and a woman that come together. That's two families joining each other because you have in-laws. When you have the man and the woman has babies, their cousins and nephews and nieces and sisters and uncles and aunts to both sides of the family. On my father's side is this. This is my cousin Bear on my father's side. So that's a merger of two families coming together. So you had to get approval by the father. The Jake women out there is completely that don't deal with no Jake women, especially from the hood or them college hoes. I've been with them college women. Anything that they say when they come with that shit, I said that's their professor talking. Them hood chicks, them hood rats you can't deal with. Them college hoes you can't deal with. Them chicks that work on Wall Street you can't deal with. Shit, you might as well deal with the Edomite. Like I said, this goes out to Tazariak. Now I can understand. I'm not going to she's not going to peg me. I'll get another woman. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't marry her, according to the law. And then you commit an adultery anyway. You want to throw the law out. You want to bring out the law. The women that you have, I'm asking Captain Tazariak for an example, not putting him on the spot. What he's had, 4 or 5 women, are they all virgins? Because if they're none of them virgins, guess what? You got those are not your wives.
Rational. None of this is even rational. And so no, clearly monogamy is not going to save the West. They got no plan at all for anything. Nothing. It's just status quo.
Why? Y'all can hear me, right?
Goddamn commercial.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Why
good.
do white people enjoy to force people to do things so much?
Well, wait a second. Everybody enjoys enforcing their worldview on everybody. That includes Asians, black people, Hispanics, whites. Any race that you can point to has the state as a use of force. The state always has the use of
I'm
force.
asking, why do white people? Can you just answer my question?
It's not true. I reject
Why?
it. I reject it as a loaded question.
Why? Well, when you say a loaded question, you just
It presupposes the answer.
You just talked to me about force so much that I agreed to answer your hypothetical question about force.
Yeah.
You said defense was force. You said, don't I have to force my view? I said I wouldn't go to the government. You create a hypothetical. If I do go to the government, wouldn't it be force? And now when I ask you, why do white people enjoy to force people to do things so much? You say,
Yeah, because and Tazariak having 4 or 5 wives, however many wives he has, He's not. He doesn't have legal papers on these women. You can only have legal paper on one woman because the government, the state, says you can only have one woman. You have another woman, 2, 3 women, and you call yourself getting married, they can lock you up for it. But you can go to the ramrod every day of the week. You know what I mean? You can go down to Christopher Street.
I'm being dishonest, and I'm not. I want to know because
this is a precept. Yeah, I'll answer.
The last 25 to 30 minutes,
I'll answer.
you have talked to me that we got to force. Even in your soliloquy that you just did, you said I'm not going to force nobody to do anything. But you want to.
Soliloquy means to say, to think something. It's you don't hear a person when he's engaged in a soliloquy. It's like in a movie, the guy's not moving his lips and you can hear him talking. That's a soliloquy. So that's get your thing. But you're good. You're good. That's all I'm getting going on hard on you on. That's it. You want to look it up? Somebody look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up and throw it in there. What is the meaning of the term soliloquy? If you study Shakespeare, you know what I'm talking about.
The force. So why do white people enjoy forcing people to do things?
Yeah, so I'll answer the question.
And real quick, Andrew, right before you answer that, we're going to do 15 more minutes of open format discussions. And then right after the 15 minutes is up, we're going to go ahead and bring some people up to ask some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's make this really easy. The reason that this is a loaded question is because it assumes that only why do black people enjoy murdering each other so much? You see how that's a loaded question? Not only that, let's point this out. We'll make
so-called black people enjoy murdering themselves because they're all bugged out, and the ones that do it, these YNs, they all belong in the pit, mass graves. You can't help, and that's in the law. Was that Deuteronomy 21, if I'm not mistaken?
Make this really simple. The objective reality
18,
of the world is that all states and all systems come down to use of force. And I don't care what system you have, it's going to come down to a use of force of men. It's always the case in every system you can point to, in all historic standards, everywhere on planet.
When a kingdom goes down and there's anarchy, who builds a new governmental structure? Men, not women. Y'all just getting turned over and having babies for the new government.
Earth at all times, without exception. The world objectively runs on force and enforcement, and the truth is if you're unwilling to utilize your worldview with enforcement, your worldview is worthless because people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well said, Andrew. Like the MOTB, it's going to be forced. You can't, in other words, you can't take it, but you can't buy nothing. You can't go to BJ's. You can't go to Targets. You can't go to any supermarket. What's the supermarket in the city? Christie's, that's down in Manhattan. You can't get in your car. You can't hop on a plane. You can't go to a hotel. You can't vacation. You can't buy a house. You can't buy a car. Buy and sell. So you don't got to take the chip, but you're out of the system. You're out of the system. You better go up in the mountains.
People can just ignore you, walk about, do whatever.
When I say the chip, I'm talking about the mark of the beast, which is the microchip. Let me say it again. I'm talking about the mark of the beast, MOTB, which is the microchip. Let me just say this, that IUIC and ISUPK, they teach that it's not the MOTB, is not the microchip. They're gonna get shook. They're gonna get shook when they make the pass a law that you have to get it. It'll be voluntary at first. Then eventually you're gonna have a deadline. You can't work. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Whatever they want, and all you can do is shake your finger at them and say you shouldn't have done that. That's why. You know why? Because it works. Here's why white people like to do it so much. Because it works and it's sane. There you go. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you for being honest.
Yeah, because it works and it's sane.
Now,
Another goddamn commercial.
We have nearly 300 beaches in Puerto Rico. And each
Is that in the Bible to do it by force?
Yes, the Bible points kings. Yes, divine kings, the right of kings.
Show me where you have to enforce it by force.
Yeah, the state itself, including a monarchy, necessarily entails that you have to have force for any edict of the nation or the kingdom. There always will be
Now,
a
how
force.
are you going to enforce your monogamy in the West?
This is great. You know what I would do? The same thing that we used to do, which is I would take over, try to at least, win every possible election to put people with my worldview in charge so that
Governments have to learn balance, because if you put too much laws on the people, they rebel. If you go to Google and you put a world history of rebellions, that you'll be here all day. And it always started with the poor. The poor, when countries are taken down and a new government is set up, it's always by the poor, because they push the poor to they push them to the cliff or the wall. Their back is to the wall, and so they say, "Look, we're gonna die. We're poor. We're dirt poor. Let's go take this place. Go into the history. Go into the history." So they know that systems, you can't put too much hell on them or they'll rebel. That was the 70 AD was all about. They were taxing the fuck out of Israelites, which was a province. Palestine was a province of Rome, so they were taxing the fuck out of them. So he said, "F this, we fighting these motherfuckers."
I would legislate that polygamy be out.
And this is what this guy's doing, Trump. People don't understand the money system. So when he said we're going to put tariffs, they're clapping. Yay, tariffs against Chinese. You don't understand, dumbass. That's a tax on you. Later I'll be going to one of these big box stores because to see how the prices change. They're going to slowly ramp up your gas prices and so forth. But you got to do it in a way, you can't say tax, you can say tariff. See, that's going to hurt the Chinese. No, it's going to hurt you, dumbass.
Lord, I would legislate that if you were going to do divorce, that would be governed by the church and not governed by the state. I would actually...
And there's no divorce in the scriptures. The Messiah said that. There's no divorce in the scriptures. Well, Moses said, yeah, it happened during the time of Moses because they were so wicked that it was allowed to happen at that time.
Have enforcement arms and teeth behind what it was that I wanted to do, because I actually want to save the West. I don't want the status quo, right? You won't even petition the government.
Well, he's right. Based on what he just said, he's an atheist. He wants to save the West. You can't save the West. The West is scheduled to be destroyed. When I say the West, I'm talking about Babylon the Great.
To get rid of OnlyFans. That's how weak your position is. You want to, because somehow that's going to benefit white people too much.
OnlyFans exists because women are allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do. Because you don't have a father in the house. When you got a father in the house, father and a mother, they're following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the scriptures. There wouldn't be no, OnlyFans and Instagram models and stuff like that. They're all fucked up. You got to save them from the South. What do these women do? They get a BBL. They don't like the BBL. They get another BBL. There's one Jake chick. She died on a third BBL. The doctors don't tell you that. You go down to the DR and they charge lesser, but they'll put, industrial silicone in your ass. Or too much fat. You get maggots. So, we're daddies. We're daddies. Your women really supposed to call you a daddy. Latin women call you papa, papi. Black women supposed to call you daddy.
Much or something. That's like such a terrible position, dude.
And what are you doing to actually enforce it?
Well, so here's what you do. You started.
What are you doing?
See, when you have these debates, he's not going in. Captain ain't going in the scriptures because he doesn't believe in the scriptures. So you're just having a debate about something outside the scriptures. This is the way. While you calling yourself having a debate with this guy, you could have been teaching the scriptures.
Yeah, so what I do is I start at cooperative level. So what I start with is this. We need to move into local jurisdictions and begin the process of taking over the arms of legislation to legislate your worldview.
So you're doing that now?
Yes.
Can you give examples of that?
Of me? Yes. Yes. I
See, he's just debating. He's not going to the scriptures. He's not teaching nobody. This is what happens when you go get with the what is it? What the hell is that? The 22, whatever. You got WAC 100, and you got the hell is that? Al-Azhar was on there, and they had to call. Now you guys are secular. So when people watch it, they ain't watching to really learn scriptures. They watching the debate. Oh, let's see what it's going to come down to. Making this look bad. The only thing you're supposed to teach is these scriptures.
I talk with people all over the United States. It's just a guy named Rob Nora goes to multiple Republican conventions in order to place people in seats so that they can legislate. Yes.
And how successful are you?
I mean, Christian nationalism, I would say, is the most successful counterculture.
Christianity is crap. It's doo-doo. It's caca. The only thing they know is that the 3 in 1 and the Gentiles are talking about other nations that could be saved. That's their whole argument, or 2 arguments. They don't know nothing. Like I said, we've been saying this. Now, one of you Christians know the prophecy. You don't know Revelation. You don't know nothing about Revelation. You don't know nothing about Daniel 7, 8, 12, 11, 2. Really, the whole book of Daniel. You know nothing about Isaiah, the prophetic parts of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Obadiah, Joel, Ezekiel, Zechariah, Micah, Malachi. You don't know what Malachi 4:1 means when it says, "The day shall come that shall burn as an oven." You don't know that. So one day, Andrew's gonna be smoking his stogie, his Newport or Winston, whatever the fuck he's smoking, and then he gonna look up in the sky and he gonna see the missiles, and he gonna be gone. Cooley, right here, Nova Gazy, if he doesn't accept the fact that he's an Israelite, he will be gone. In a puff of smoke. No Christians, do you know no Christians talk of, especially the black church, do they ever go into the end of the world? It tells you in the scriptures about the end of the world. The last days, they don't go into that.
Political
They don't care about that inside joke.
apparatus which maybe has ever existed in our lifetime. So I think it's pretty fucking successful, yeah. I think it's pretty successful.
So in your worldview, polygamy would be illegal, right?
Yeah.
But isn't polygamy already illegal?
Polygyny. No, it's not.
Polygyny is not illegal?
Polygamy,
No, only at the state level.
But you know at this, okay, but when you say at the state level, you made a point to say, but wouldn't you have to get rid of marriage too?
From the state? Yes.
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 So are you doing that too?
Yes.
Energizer's 3-in-1 Child Shield is the world's first coin lithium battery that has 3 different safety features.
You love this style of shoe. They're comfortable, casual,
I don't like
stylish.
that.
But Skechers has topped them and made them even better. Because now they come in.
They caught there with those shoes.
Damn. So how successful are you? What cities you got that are doing
Where's the scripture, Tazariak?
it? How long have you been doing it?
Well, right now, Christian nationalism is in its form of ceding power. This means that right now they're moving towards gaining control in legislative
How long have
branches
you been doing it?
for a few years.
Let's say what, 4 or 5?
Maybe 3.
I'm sorry y'all had to hear all this, man. You know, they're not going in any scriptures. Let me play it a little bit more, then I'm going to move on. I thought he was going to pull out, I thought either one of them was going to pull out Deuteronomy 22.
Any headway?
Yeah, there's been headway. Yes.
Like, wait, well, give me the county or something.
I just told you, man. You can go to the Pennsylvania Republican Convention, which Rob Nord just went to. He works for me.
And it's law now in Pennsylvania that.
No, of course it's not law. I just told you. You have to start with the ceding of power first.
Why aren't you forcing them?
Bro, we're not talking about the utilization of forcing government, but
You
taking
told
over
me
government to
force.
use force.
Why
We're
would
talking about
you
taking
force?
over government to use force.
You're not a real white man because you're not forcing your will. But
I
you
don't.
told me I got to force.
No, I think you just have a fundamental misunderstanding of how power
Why
apparatuses
you
work.
not forcing?
Listen, what did I just tell you? Like, can you even repeat back what I just said?
You
I don't
said-
know what. This is pure coke laugh now.
Talk to some constituents here in Pennsylvania and this, but you ain't forced nothing. You just talking.
So
Essentially,
wait, don't you want to get people seated so that you can affect political change?
Same way that you said, I'm just talking.
No, you are just talking.
Same thing you're doing.
Who are you seating for power?
Tell me you doing anything more than just talk.
I'll explain it to you.
While he's having this debate, he could be teaching the scriptures. Oh, I can't debate because I'm teaching the scripture. Why would I waste time having a debate with somebody, especially when you're not talking about the scriptures and when I can teach? I'm not here to have debates, with, especially with Edomites or unbelievers.
I have a method.
A lot of these guys get big-headed because of debate. I'm the greatest debater in the world. We're not here. When did Yahushua ever say to the disciples, have debates with these wicked scribes and Pharisees?
Methodology, and thousands like me have a methodology where we're trying to push people in positions of power who agree with our worldview for the purpose of enforcement. You're doing the opposite. You're claiming you don't want anybody in a position of power with your worldview.
Besides talking,
do you understand that you're utilizing the apparatus for enforcement?
Show me where you forced anything.
Bro, if you have enough elected bodies, you then can utilize the force of the state.
Right? You didn't force them, right? You
oh
talked
my God,
to them, right?
you're not. That's.
I can't hear this. Anyway, I thought they were going to go a different direction. They were going into, like it says, Andrew Wilson breaks Hebrew Israelite argument and points out he's a feminist. Okay, let me go over here. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all had to sit through this. It's fucking boring. I thought they were going to go into Deuteronomy. Anyway, does Deuteronomy 22, 28. I should have put something else in there. Mean grape, right? So this is what chat said, which they're confused. It says Deuteronomy 22, 28 is a passage from the Old Testament that has generated significant debate. It shouldn't, especially around whether it describes grape or a consensual sexual act. It's not a consensual sexual act. The interpretation depends heavily on the Hebrew script. So now you can't just go with the English. You ask a Christian, do you know the Hebrew? No. This is why you can't see it. Because you don't know the Hebrew. Do you know the Greek? No. This is why you can't see it. It says the interpretation depends heavily on the Hebrew text. You got to go. IUIC did not go to the Hebrew. ISUPK did not go, when they condemned us about the grape thing, they did not go to the Hebrew. Now all of a sudden they don't know the Hebrew. It describes, and you are not on our level, Nate, telling people, you're not on my level. What have you did? Nate, Bishop Nate, you're not on our level because you don't go into Hebrew and the Greek. Because if you went solely by the English, you would be celebrating Easter. It describes grape or a consensual, whether it describes grape or a consensual sexual act, it was grape. What is that? Exodus 22 and 16, if not 21, I believe it's 22 and 16. That's consensual. You sweet talk the girl. You seduce the girl. You got to her ear. You know? It says the interpretation depends heavily on the Hebrew text, the surrounding context, and how it's translated into English. Beautiful. The interpretation depends heavily on the Hebrew text. You don't go to the Hebrew, you're not going to understand it, which translates into the English. So you can't just go by the English. There's the verse, Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. If a man meet a virgin, the word there is bathwala, who is, back to the basics, who is not betrothed or engaged, and seizes, the word seize means to take by force her and lies with her, force her into sex, and it's be found out, then the man who lay with her shall give to the father of the young woman 50 shekels, and that was a lot. I did the math. That was a lot of money. And she shall be his wife because he has violated her. The word in the Hebrew is ainah. He may not divorce her all his days. When she ain't looking so good, you see a woman that's, when they're young, they looking good as hell, then 20 years later, you look like stir-fried shit. Key Hebrew term, the word is thapas. The Hebrew word translated seize, right? Seize. This is the ESV. The word there is seize. Back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. The Hebrew word translated seizes in many versions is tapas or tapas, which generally means to take hold or seize, take by force or capture. It does not necessarily imply violence or coercion. Yes, it is, because she's fighting and you holding her. You holding her. Unlike another word, another Hebrew word, what is that? They didn't even write this right. That's not a ha. That looks like a tha, but I guess it's a ha. I can look it up. Hazak. That's not a ha right there. That's a tha, which appears earlier in Deuteronomy 20, 22, 25, where grape is clearly described. Well, tapas is the same thing. It means grape. Comparing with Deuteronomy 22, 25 to 27, clear case of grape. And it also, and here the word used is hazak, a stronger term implying force or violence. The difference is vocabulary suggests that 2228 is not describing the same level of correct. No, it is. It is. The word there is ainah in the 28 or 29 verse. I'm almost finished. Bear with me for a minute, y'all. Scholarly and translation prescriptives. Some translations, NIV 1984 interprets it as grape. If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and grapes her, so they correct. The NIV is correct. Others, like the King KJV or ESV, use lay hold of or seize, which is more ambiguous. Many scholars argue that Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29 likely describes, no, it's not seduction. That's in Exodus 22 and 16. I got to keep going to this, man. possibly involving coercion or manipulation. You rap to the woman. You whispered sweet nothings in her ear, but not necessarily violent grape. No, it is great. It's great. You holding the girl down, you're pulling the clothes off, and you're putting your penis in her vagina. That's what it means. Ask another question. Let me ask another question. Let me ask another question. What is the GMS Israelites take or stance take on Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. What is the GMS Israelites' take on Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29? Let's see how well they know about this. The GMS Great Millstone Israelites are camped within the broader Hebrew Israelite movement have a very specific and controversial interpretation of Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. Their view is shaped by their doctrine, which includes a literal and often extreme interpretation of the Bible. It's not extreme. It's not extreme. It's what it says in the Hebrew. You said that, chat. You said that to really get this understanding, you have to go to the Hebrew, as well as a rigid hierarchical and patriarchal worldview. Right. The men is going to rule. You ain't going to have no woman in any position of authority. Here's an overview of how GMS typical interpretation interprets that passage. GMS breakdown, they put the fire there. GMS breakdown of Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, untouched by a man, which is not betrothed, engaged, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lie with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. GMS sex marriage, right? Isaac and Rebecca, they didn't do no paperwork. They didn't go to the justice hall. They didn't have a judge in front of them. They had sex and they became husband and wife. GMS teaches that if a man has sex with a virgin who is not promised to another, that act constitutes marriage. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. According to the law, if you lay with a virgin, she goes with another man, you have a right to put her to death and put the man to death. Or the judges stone him to death. Both of them. In the eyes of the Most High, they stress that the act of sex is the binding factor, not a ceremony or a contract. The contract is when you have sex with a virgin. Lay hold, physical seizure, not necessarily grape. See, chat is getting emotional. They interpret a lay hold to pass to mean taking a woman physically. That's exactly what it means. But not by force and the violent rape. What the fuck y'all talking about? They argue this passage is about consensual or semi-consensual sex, not rape. Some GMS teachers have said the woman might have been taken, but since there's no resistance, like in verse 25 and 27, it does not count as rape. No, we never said that. That's a fucking lie. Woman of property. Women as property. GMS holds a patriarchal view, often treating women as the property of their fathers or husbands. Well, that's in the scriptures. Remember, Hebrew man, an Israelite man can sell his daughter to another Israelite man for a price, and he can either say, this woman is going to be my wife, this is going to be my son's wife, or she's just going to be a maid. In this context, the requirement of the man to pay the father 50 shekels is seen as a compensation for violating the father's property rights. Beautiful. For violating the father's property rights. Man had a car, brand new car, whatever, what do you call it, Jake be riding around in. It's a fast car. Somebody help me out. You take the guy's key and you go out. You violated him, man. And he don't get put to death for it. You know, if he crashed the car, he got to restore the car and then give you 3 more cars. Right? Whatever the case may be, property rights are not necessarily the woman's trauma or autonomy. She'll get over it. She'll get over the trauma. No divorce allowed. They also emphasize that once the man sleeps with her, he cannot divorce her. Yes, that's the punishment. Because you break it, you buy it. You broke it, you broke her vagina, so you buy it. That's what that means. Because they are now married according to the law. Right, according to biblical law. Controversy and criticism, apologists and Christian critiques have widely condemned GMS teaching on this topic as dangerous. What do you mean dangerous? It's now you're guilty of taking away from the book. Misogynistic and a distortion of it ain't no distortion of Christians. Scripture. When you go into if you can't understand a word in the English, when you read in the English, you go into the Hebrew. Okay, the Hebrew word means that, so that's what it means. Some GMS members have gone so far as to justify sexual relations with young girls. Well, women, women. When they reach puberty, 11 and a half, 12, 13 years old, that's when the father can sell, and that's when the father normally sold the daughter if they made a transaction with an Israelite, another Israelite. Based on their interpretation, when we get them women in the kingdom and we build up the nation, build the nation back, they're all going to be virgins that are about 12 years old. Normally 12 years old. Of biblical puberty. I'm going to look this up. Biblical puberty. When a body changes. So I'm going to look that up. So these dudes are caught up in their emotions. Markers which have drawn. That's why I wouldn't teach nobody that. It's so hard. We want to learn it. Could you sit down and teach? Yes, give me $50,000 and I'll teach you. You all about the money. You damn Skippy. Now you got to pay me. I gave it to you for free. You didn't accept it. You want it. You bowing down. You ready? You humbled down. You ready to learn it? 50 G's. Outrage and legal scrutiny. The interpretation often lacks cultural, historical, and linguistic nuance. So you ain't reading it right. Relying instead on cherry-picked verses to support predetermined doctrines. No, we don't got to cherry-pick. We don't got to pull out Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. You don't got to go to other scriptures. You can, but you don't got. It's right there. It's like ragu sauce. It's in there. Summary of GMS. Element, GMS interpretation, lay hold on, physical act, not necessarily great. No. It is great. To lay hold means like if a police arrests you, they lay hold on you. You can use the word tapaz or you can use the word aina, but it doesn't mean the officer is going to grape you. Virgin status, central to the law's application. Sex equal marriage, yes, especially if the woman is a virgin. Because you get with a woman that had another man, that's really not your wife. She's a secondary wife to you. When true marriages is when you get, look, when Isaac and Rebekah got together, Rebekah was a virgin, all right? There was a token of her virginity. Penalty, 50 shekels paid to father who woman becomes wife. Divorce, not allowed after sex in this context. You break it, you buy it, and you keep it. Woman consent, often minimized or ignored in their doctrine. Woman's consent, often minimized or ignored in the truth, not our doctrine. We just interpreting the scriptures to you the right way. Final thoughts. The GMS interpretation of Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29 reflects their. And I want the Genesis to come and do a video on this. You know, literalist, patriarchal, and often extreme views on gender and marriage, while they true views, while they assert that this passage does not describe grape, their broader teaching on women and sexuality have been widely criticized. You putting words in our mouth, man. While they assert that this passage does not describe, yes, it does. Have been widely criticized because the ones that criticize us among Israel, they got caught up in their emotions, including by other Hebrew Israelite groups. Would you like a comparison between GMS and other Hebrew Israelite groups on this issue? Let me put down yes. Okay, great. Here's a comparison of how GMS, Great Millstone, interprets Deuteronomy 22, 28, 29 versus other Hebrew Israelite groups, particularly the more well-known groups like IUIC. But they teach if you marry a woman, 2 years into marriage, she got a headache, you can take it, you can grape her. ISUBK, they came at us again about it. GOCC, I don't know what their real stance is. These camps can vary widely in doctrine, tone, and how they apply Old Testament laws today. GMS tone and teaching style, extremely blunt, thank you, harsh, often vulgar, controversial. I like that. IUIC. No, if you're married to a Hebrew Israelite man and woman get married, 2 years, 3 years in, she got a headache, the man wants to have relations, he can take it. That's what IUIC teaches. No consensual or seduction. Sex equals marriage, yes, but they emphasize orderly marriage, not random sex. Consent considered, yes, especially within modern context. Consent considered, GMS, minimally focus is on men's rights and father's authority. That's scriptural. Tone and teaching style, more organized, PR conscious. PR means public relations, marketing. They got they had to have hired a PR firm and a marketing firm to make them more acceptable. Wear all the same garments, march down the street, clean up the community. Oh, these people are great. Let's go and follow them. So I like tone and teaching style. Extremely blunt. Right, the best way to say it is blunt. If you're dealing with a woman, be blunt with the woman. She said, well, if you go to my house, if I go to your house, you promise not to do anything. You know what I mean? What am I going to say? I can't promise that. I can't promise that. You know? Extremely blunt, harsh, often vulgar, controversial, even among the Israelites. ISBK, lay hold, seen as seduction. Nope. Exodus 22, it's got to be 22. 22, somebody put it in there. Thinking 22:21, no, it's 22:16. Exodus 22:16, that's seduction. Deuteronomy 22:28-29 is something else. Rape, grape. No, unless force is clearly stated. Sex is marriage, yes, but under the man's authority. Consent, considered not a major focus, but not entirely ignored. Tone and teaching style, militaristic, authoritative, but more restrained. Oh, more restrained, and not as raw as G-Man. That's what they're saying. Militaristic, authoritative, but more restrained than a GMS. They said GMS. They said they raw, extremely blunt, harsh, often vulgar, controversial. So if we're gonna tell you something, we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it on the top. Hit the nail on the top of the head. Okay, now GOCC. Strong emphasis on consent. Suggestion, not grape. Grape, no, they teach it was seduction, not force, because they don't know the scriptures, they don't know the Hebrew. Sex is marriage, yes, but they stress biblical courtship laws. Well, that's up to the father. Consent considered, yes, they teach that Torah requires mutual agreement today. Tone and teaching style, softer, more diplomatic tone, more mainstream friendly. In other words, weak Christianity with a Hebrew Israelite twist to it. So we don't even really recognize them. So it's not controversial. It's controversial to you. Anyway, shalom, on to the next.